What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are continuing my review series talking about Jurassic Park, and today it's Jurassic Park 3. This is the week Jurassic World Dominion about to hit theaters, and I'm looking forward to it, albeit with low expectations, but I'm looking forward to the return of Sam Neill as Dr. Grant for the first time since Jurassic Park 3. And he was actually making a return in this film as well. He's never been in back-to-back Jurassic Park movies. He was in the original, then he was not in part 2, but he came back for part 3. And I was also excited about it. Some newcomers, William H. Macy, Tia Leone. I'm like, okay, we got some newcomers joining the Jurassic Park franchise, the Jurassic Park universe. Really good actors, and I'm expecting this movie, when I went to the theaters, to be a lot better than The Lost World, which I gave it a good score. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I like The Lost World. It has grown on me. It is action-packed for sure. There's just a few scenes I don't care for, a few jokes I don't care for. Check out my full review on that. But when I first went to the theaters to see Part 3, I left thinking, okay, obviously not as good as the original, but it's certainly not convoluted. It's certainly simple. And I thought it was all right. And at that time, I even thought I liked it better than part 2. But after a rewatch, I saw more flaws. And as I've watched it over the years, it's pretty obvious to me that this is not a great movie. But I think it could have been. I mean, there are things I like about it. I like the overall story idea. I think when you watch this movie, it's like the basic building blocks of what would be the movie. But it looks like they didn't really go in and try to make it better. Try to expand on a little bit here and there. Try to bring some more emotion into certain things that I'll get into. Instead, it was just a very basic story. And not only that, but some of the things on screen just don't look that great. And that's a problem as well. And so what you get is this just underwhelming movie. It's really short relatively. I mean, I don't need it to be, super long. But it does seem like just a quick little Jurassic Park movie that's a little bit lower budget, but it's actually not. If you look it up, at least according to Wikipedia, this had a higher budget than The Lost World. And I was, what? How the hell did this movie have a higher budget than The Lost World? When I watched The Lost World, I'm blown away. I'm like, dude, how much did this cost? $1 billion? This is insane. This one here, the CGI, it's not as good. It's not as good as the first movie. And this movie's 8 years later. This movie came out in 2001. The original came out in 93, and I even said it then, there are movies that are going to come out later that the CGI is not as good. Now, maybe part of that is that they didn't use the animatronics as much in this movie because they did in the original. So if there was going to be a shot that had to be a super close-up or something where obviously it wasn't going to look that great with CGI, they didn't mess with that. Animatronics, baby. And good animatronics. It is noticeably worse. Now, I'm not saying I could do better. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not impressive. And had the first two movies never came out and this movie just came out talking about at least the CGI, I'd be like, oh, cool. Yeah, obviously fake, but they tried. But because we had those first two to compare to, this did not meet the Jurassic Park standard. But that's just where the criticisms begin. But let me say some things I like about it and that I enjoyed about it. Now, one of the things I enjoyed about it, clearly the first time I saw it, was I thought it was just a cleaner story than part 2. It wasn't convoluted at all. Very easy to follow and very simple. You have this cup. Well, first of all, you have the island, Isla Sorna. We already know that the dinosaurs are running free. And that people are going to kind of want to get close and take a glance at him. So you have this guy with this little kid, and they hired someone to drive the boat apparently, and they're able to kind of parachute over the island with their binoculars or video camera. I think they had a video camera, maybe not binoculars, but they definitely had a video camera, just trying to look at some dinosaurs. And the little kids, you see something? Not yet. They're excited. It's a lot of fun. They're just having fun. Stupid, but fun. And, sure enough, that boat gets attacked. They have to cut themselves loose and parachute down onto the island. And now this little kid's parents, because that wasn't his dad, that was just a friend. This little kid's parents are absolutely desperate to get their son back. They need to go to that island. They're going to go to that island. They're going to find him. And they want to take the best people they can. They want to bring an absolute expert on dinosaurs, someone who has been to the island before, even though they were wrong about that because he's never been to that island. This is Isla Sorna, and in the first movie it was Isla Nublar. So they got that fact wrong, but that's fine. They're desperate to find their son. Of course, that would make sense. But they lie, manipulate to get Dr. Grant to the island by pretending to offer him a whole truckload of money that they don't really have because they're explorers and they just want the best tour possible. So it's going to be a tour. They're going to fly over the island and that's it. That's how they trick him to going. And now they go and chaos ensues. And obviously that's it. That's the story. And they're looking for their son. It's that simple. It's a simple premise, easy to follow, easy to figure out why they're getting eaten by the dinosaurs. I think that I like that idea. I think it just should have been expanded in certain moments. There should have been more emotion involved in Dr. Grant's decision to go back. I can accept that he wanted the money, but we didn't really figure out why. I guess it was for his business, his foundation, something. It was mentioned. But I think, when you bring back Laura Dern as well, who, by the way, they are now divorced or no longer together, which is, that's just a blatant decision they made. They didn't have to do that. They could have had them still together. They could have had them have a child who maybe was sick, whom they couldn't afford treatment on. And then this is an opportunity. I'm just throwing something out there out of thin air right here. They have a child who's sick. They need the money. And of course, he's first adamant, no, this is not going to happen. I'm not going back to that island no matter what. He should have left that meeting saying that. But after he talked to his wife and everything, look, maybe they talk it over. It's just a tour. You're not going to go sit. You're not going to walk on the island. Nothing's going to happen. Maybe Lauren Dern's saying no. And then, eventually they come to a decision like, you know what? We have to do this. We have to do this. We need this money. This is a whole bunch of money. And he can get all the treatment that he needs, he or she, their child. Making a fake situation. Then his reasoning for going over there packs a bigger punch than just, I can put a lot of zeros on these checks. And the next scene, they're flying. That was it. And they could have padded a good 10 extra minutes here, and just the decision to go, I think, should have been more impactful. So in this plane, though, going over, it's cool because when they get there, it's the music is there, the dinosaurs there, and it's a pretty cool moment. And then he starts to give the tour, and he said, if you look over to my window on the right, you can see and blah blah. He's doing what he's supposed to do with the little tour, and it seems awesome and everything like this. Everything would go smooth, right? But obviously they have something else on their mind. The parents are sitting there like, do you see anything? And he's sitting there like, you don't see it down, and he's trying to do the tour. So that's a cool moment because as a viewer, like, okay, something's definitely wrong right here. Something's definitely wrong. They ain't tourists. They're looking for something on that island. And maybe your mind even goes back to the initial scene when the little kid, and the man, when they have to parachute down onto the island. Ah, yes, that must be their son. Something, right? And the action hits pretty quick after they land that plane. After they land that plane, get out, all of a sudden, dinosaurs are showing up. There ain't much of a delay. A couple of deaths happen pretty damn quick. And the plane crash and everything. I thought the plane crash looked pretty good. I thought there were some nice effects there with the plane crashing and everything, and the damage to the plane. It got jacked up, and they all got jacked up. And you're like, okay, now they're stuck. They ain't getting off this island no time soon. And they have no choice but to, obviously I like Dr. Grant's decision. Like, yeah, y'all can go ahead and look for your son. I'm bouncing. We're heading to the coast. We're getting the hell out of here. That's it. Survival is key now. And they follow him because there's no better option. They do need to look for their son, but might as well follow him, right? Made a little bit of sense there. Now, as they run into these raptors and everything, I like that the raptors are, it was established earlier in the movie when Dr. Grant was doing speeches and everything. Okay, this is going to be a key part of this movie, that these raptors are extremely smart. And I like some of the things they do to show their intelligence. Some of the things are kind of silly, like when the raptor was trying to act like he was in the liquid ears. They were looking through like kind of they were in some kind of room that had these little specimens in liquid. So there was a big jar of liquid, and Amanda, Tia Leone's character, is looking at it, and the raptor's behind there pretending he's in the liquid. And then moves his eyes, and that's what she's like, what the heck? And then he comes out from behind. It just shows their intelligence. That's some serious intelligence right there. It was kind of funny. I guess it was kind of cool, but kind of silly too. I think, like, I mean, how smart are they making him? There's even a point later where I think he actually snaps someone's neck. Like instead of just eating them or grasping their neck or something, they went like freaking Jason Bourne went. And I'm not saying dinosaurs weren't smart. We don't really know, right, how smart they were or not. But sometimes I thought they just made them a little too smart. And they were smart in the original. And that is some good continuity. The raptors were very smart in the original. We saw that. We're like, wow, these raptors are smart. But they made them even smarter. Like, they made them like it was said in the movie, they're like as smart as primates. And I thought it was a little much at times, but okay. But eventually, Dr. Grant is surrounded by velociraptors, not looking good at all. How the hell is he going to get out of this? Well, Eric shows up. The little kid actually is alive, and I really like this kid. This is one character I like. By the way, his parents, super annoying. They're not that funny. They don't bring a whole lot. I love the actors, but just didn't think they were that great of characters, not greatly written, shall we say. But I do like their son. I think he's cool. Like Eric, the kid, he's awesome, dude. He's very resourceful, very smart. I love the scene. There's some scenes in this. There's actually some funny scenes in this movie. Obviously, that little dream sequence in the beginning when Dr. Grant sees the dinosaur and says, Alan. I thought it was funny. It's a little PTSD. It's a dream. It's a dream thing. It's not, the dinosaur wasn't really there. It's kind of silly. Some may not like that moment. I thought it was funny. And even when, Dr. Grant asks the little kid or says to the little kid, it's really impressive. You survived here for 8 weeks. He's like, is that all it's been? Which is, to me, that's a little bit funny because that's really how someone would respond. I bet if I was in there for 8 weeks surviving, I think I'm the bomb, man. I've been here for like years. I've been here forever. Surviving, because, we're not keeping track of the days. 8 weeks, it would feel like at least a year. But I really like the character of Eric. I think it's a good actor. I think the kid was really impressive. I enjoyed him, his resourcefulness and everything about him, showing how he was surviving. That's all cool. But then he hears this phone ring, and it's his dad's phone. So he knew, my dad. And then he starts running, trying to follow the tone. And then he runs into his dad. You're like, okay. But it turns out the dad didn't even have the phone. I mean, that's, first of all, quite a crazy coincidence that he just happened to follow the tone, the ringtone, and runs into his dad. And the dad didn't have the phone. The phone was actually eaten earlier with a human who had the phone by a dinosaur. But somehow he could still hear it through the... Not only did the phone survive, the phone did not get jacked up. Okay, maybe, it's a dinosaur, and then chew everything. Okay, I can buy that, but it's hard for me to believe you could actually hear the phone inside the dinosaur from pretty far away. I'm just saying. And the fact that he just happened to run into his dad following the ringtone, even though his dad didn't have the phone. All that was just like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And then later, of course, they find the phone again. They hear it. It actually survived the entire trip through the dinosaur's digestive system, ends up in a pile of crap, which they put all their hands in, which was nasty. I know it happened a little bit in one of the earlier movies. I think it was part 2. Oh, no, actually, it was part 1. I'm sorry, it was part 1 was the original. But she had some gloves, like some high gloves on. No gloves in this scene. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, they heard the phone. They're trying to save their lives. Don't get me wrong. I'd be digging in that stuff, too, trying to find the phone. Disgusting as it is. But just to watch it, I'm like, oh, God. Like, there just shit everywhere.
Oh my God. He's shit everywhere. There's shit everywhere!
But a little bit later, the dinosaur attacks continue, and part of it is because Billy actually stole a couple of eggs. Genius move right there, thinking he can get a bunch of money for funding and everything. He had good intentions. He seems very remorseful over it. Dr. Grant's pissed, says you're no better than the people that built this park, and they have to carry around these eggs. Decided not to get rid of them just in case the velociraptors show up for them. At least they have them to give back and try to do something. And then there's this scene when they're all the velociraptors surround them, and Dr. Grant has this little velociraptor windpipe. I forgot, but it makes a velociraptor noise and it confuses them, and somehow they all run off. I didn't think it was that great. It was kind of dumb. A lot of stupid things like that do happen in this movie. But there was a cool scene with the pteranodon when the bird dinosaur picks up, trying to actually takes the kid, Eric, and Billy now, like I said, he feels bad about what he did and he wants to prove himself. So he actually goes and saves Billy. And it was a pretty cool sequence. I'll give it that. Cool sequence there. And there's just not much of an emotional connection here. There's really, everyone's just kind of working together. I guess you have no choice. But, I mean, Dr. Grant should be so pissed at these two parents and never really shows that. At the end, there is all happy-go-lucky stuff, and they're all friends and everything, it seems like. It's like, okay, why is Dr. Grant not pissed at them? They're actually terrible. I mean, what they did, I understand they wanted to get their son back, but they had a bunch of people died, dead because of them. Dr. Grant's crew, almost all dead because of them. But there should have been more tension somehow. I'm not saying they had to be straight up terrible villains, but there really weren't any villains. And even it looked like maybe, Billy was going to end up being a villain when he took the eggs and everything. But no, it was just a mistake. It was just a stupid kid. And then he's back at the end. I thought he died. He gave his life to save. I mean, that was the only emotional punch there was, that Billy died after his stupid mistake trying to save Eric, the little kid. But no. He's back at the end. I'm like, what? Laying down in the stretcher in the helicopter or whatever, and Dr. Grant and him have a little moment briefly. But I thought it was just dumb. Why is he still alive? He should have been dead. That was the only emotional impact that the movie even brought to the table. Other than that, it was just like, okay, you're happy the kid's alive, found him. By the way, there is a cool moment where the body of the man who was, the friend who was flying with, parachuting down with Eric, he falls out of a tree, and it's just his corpse there, and we actually get to see it on a human corpse. And there's a few other moments where there's human skulls he throws. Eric had to throw at a dinosaur one time, and it's just, I like that little touch of, there's dead bodies that have been on this island. But the man was never explained how the hell he died. The last thing we saw when they were watching the video camera footage, the man dropped Eric down and said, okay, I'm coming down. And then Eric said the camera's still on, and it went off. Well, how did he get killed? I think I've seen some articles out there. It's in a deleted scene that some velociraptors came and ripped off his legs, and Eric ran away. Why the hell wouldn't you leave that in the movie? Movie's only an hour and a half. You could have padded it a little bit. I'm not saying it had to be a 2.5 hour movie. You couldn't give us an hour 40, hour 45, and that's all you would have needed to add you could have added that scene in instead of deleting it, so we could have seen exactly what happened to him. What happened to the friend? Why did he die? Why did Eric leave him there to die? At least there would have been an explanation for that. You could have had Dr. Grant with more of a reason to go. Maybe something with emotional punch. You should have had him and Dr. Sadler, still together. And they could have had a reason why they needed that money so desperately that had a little bit of emotional impact. Instead, we have a movie that I find to be rather quick. It's not boring. It's not terrible. I rather enjoy it. I do watch it. I don't hate it. It's not my least favorite in the franchise, but all those criticisms I had, genuinely, this movie could have been so awesome. I'm going to say it's good, not great, only because I like the character of Eric. I like the basic storyline. I like it. It's a quick watch. It's an easy watch. It's okay. It's enjoyable. I do like the character of Billy as well. I mean, the actor who portrays him and the character. And you get Dr. Grant back. And there's some good laughs in it. Some genuine laughs in this one. I think there's no stupid comedy in this one, or very limited stupid comedy. And overall, that's why I'll say it's good, but definitely not great, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think of Jurassic Park 3 in the comment section down below. Have a great day. Look forward to Jurassic World review. Other than that, have a fantastic day. Appreciate all your support. Let me know down below, and we'll talk to y'all next time.